Oh, Mike, I am checking the weather report, and I am scared, buddy. It doesn't look good. Oh no. Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast, producer. Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. He is Grindberg. I am bigz. This is the Fantasy Football Advice Network. How are you doing, Grindberg?
I'm doing pretty excellent. How are you doing, bigz, on this beautiful night?
I'm a-okay. I was kidding about the thing earlier. I wasn't looking at
Oh,
at the weather report. And everything looks great. It's going to rain here tomorrow, apparently, but that's my problem to deal with because I'm not in Winnipeg, beautiful Winnipeg, Manitoba. Incidentally, this YouTube channel I follow that does all of these like remastered like live concert performances just dropped Slayer from a bar or a small theater in Winnipeg, like in 1985, and it's like up next in my queue to watch. I'm excited. So what we're doing today is rising wide receivers, courtesy of the 2024 NFL Player Draft. Should we just is this like an icy cool frozen lake in Winnipeg? We just jump in.
do we jump in and skate? I don't know.
We,
Do you have your skates? Did you
no,
have you?
I ain't found no ice that could hold me.
They're still driving on the lakes here to go ice fishing, bigz. No, I'm just
Oh,
joking. That ice fishing season ended like 3 weeks ago. They had to take their shacks off the ice already. So we're almost in regular fishing season here up in Canada.
whoa, big news. Um,
Thanks for that reaction.
yeah, I bet the viewers are like, no way.
Way.
All right. We're doing wide receiver risers. Our last show we did quarterbacks, and I am so dumb because I could have just gone with Troy Franklin because Denver was a good spot for him, but I'm not going to do that because that would be the easy road, and I don't take the easy road. I'm known for two things: being crazy and loud and hot takes. My big
That's three
riser.
things. That's three things,
No,
big.
crazy and loud are the same thing.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
My draft riser is Keon Coleman. Let me tell you why. All right, Keon Coleman is a very tall, long wide receiver. Came out of Florida State. My riser last week, Jordan Travis. He and Keon Coleman, they had a really good rapport at Florida State. Now Keon Coleman, who Bill's leadership has just come out and said that they told Josh that Keon Coleman's production is a priority in their offense, is the wide receiver one in Buffalo. What Buffalo has is akin to a combination of Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. They let Stephon Diggs go and they let Gabe Davis go, and then they packaged all that up, and now they have themselves a Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman ran 82%, if I'm 82.02% of his routes from like out wide at Florida State in his career. He's going to be the outside receiver for Buffalo. And we all know one thing about Josh Allen. He's got a cannon of an arm, and he's going to be able to get the ball downfield to Keon Coleman. And Keon Coleman is in a lot better situation than I had anticipated for him coming in. I would absolutely be looking to draft him in redraft. I'm talking in like the mid-teen rounds, round 13, round 14, maybe your wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that easily because I am of the opinion that you wait for rookie wide receivers to break out before you roster them in redraft leagues. I miss the boat sometimes. I certainly missed the boat on Justin Jefferson, his rookie season. I missed the boat on Puka Nacua, but that's two guys. That's two guys. Didn't miss on a whole lot of other guys because they didn't hit. Only those two guys did. And that's simplifying it a little bit, but you get my point. I don't trust rookie wide receivers in redraft leagues. Keon Coleman, I will be rostering because of his opportunity and how much he rose being drafted by the Buffalo Bills.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, can you imagine thinking of like all those vacated targets from Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis? Where are they going to? You know, they got to go to somebody. The Bills knew what they needed to do in the draft. People say they had a really bad draft, and I don't disagree, but they were kind of had their hand forced with the decisions they made last year, going all in and trying to win the Super Bowl, and they just came up short there. Some of their veterans got injured down the stretch. Their defense was decimated, and it made sense. You know, we're going to talk about that trade in a couple seconds that they made with my Chiefs, because that's kind of the guy that I'm going to be talking about. The other end of that trade. But Keon Coleman to the Bills, you know, anytime you are, you know, linked up with Josh Allen, you are going to have immediate opportunity to succeed. And Keon Coleman is a big body receiver, like you mentioned. And I think his draft stock plummeted a little bit after the combine, which I think got him in that position to land in the Bills. So great on Keon Coleman. I think he's a guy I'm also going to roster in redraft leagues, and a guy I'm going to keep my eye on in Dynasty as well. So good on you, bigz. I think that's a really good call, and Keon Coleman is someone we should all be keeping our eye out for.
Yeah, and he may not have risen in my eyes quite as much as your riser, but I'm going to call bias.
Yeah, it's a little bit of bias, you know, but we're talking about, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm pretty biased. And the last time they traded up with the Bills in the NFL draft, guess who they selected? My homie in the back here, Patrick.
Riddick Bowe.
No, this is. Oh, did you? Maybe you can't see my figurine in the back here, but it's Patty. It's Patty. You can see him. He's a little bit shorter and you know, lot better looking than me, but
son of former New York Met reliever Pat Mahomes.
There you go. But you know, they that was the last time the Bills traded, and I didn't think they'd ever trade with them again, especially after they moved ahead of them in the draft in 2017 to get L'Jarius Sneed. So fast forward 4 years, and what happens? You know, Brett Veach and Brendan Bean are at it again. And this one was a head scratcher for me at first, but it all kind of made sense after it was all said and done. I know that Bills fans were probably really excited to maybe have a guy like Xavier Worthy enter their lineup. But, you know, when you're pinned in the corner and you needed to gain some middle round draft capital, that's what the Bills did. And they still got the receiver they wanted in Keon Coleman, like bigz mentioned. And my Chiefs got the receiver they wanted by trading up with the Bills to 28. The only knock really on Worthy, in my opinion, is his size. He is smaller. But I think because he weighed in at 165, he is, you know, quite a bit smaller than people had projected him. But I think he lost a good 10 pounds to break the record at the combine. So I think him bulking up, he's probably sitting at 175 regularly. So if he can bulk up to 185, you know, watch out. He brings a lot of speed, and that's an asset for Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce that they haven't seen in years since the departure of Tyreek Hill. And I'm not comparing, you know, Worthy to Tyreek Hill as far as the same, but Worthy has got some really similar things to his game, like the element style, like he can track a ball and his speed as well. I'm very excited to see what Worthy can bring to the Chiefs offense. Worthy has set the combine on fire this year, and, you know, social media on frenzy. He crushed it at 4.21, and now he has added a deep threat, showing promise as a route runner as well. He definitely cut down the number of drops. His last season at Texas, he caught 75 passes for 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, and that is playing alongside the other standout Texas wide receiver, Adonai Mitchell. He later went to the Colts. Worthy is an underrated route runner. one of the most impressive aspects of his game is his route running ability. He is considered one of the top route runners in college football last year. He led all major strength categories in the NFL, and I think he's going to fit in really nicely in Andy Reid's offense. He led all Power 5 receivers in yards per route run on routes in front of the line of scrimmage. He consistently and effectively, it works well in the middle of the field. He's projected right now as the Chiefs wide receiver 3 behind Rashee Rice and Marquise Brown. Rice is in trouble with the law, so I'm looking him to serve a suspension in 2020 for further improving Worthy's odds of producing early. And when you consider his returning capabilities too, I see him playing early and often with a suspension looming. I will be drafting Worthy as much as I can. If he's being projected as the wide receiver 3 for the Chiefs, he will have a huge value. Worthy, I think, will be a top 40 wide receiver his rookie season, and his ADP is sitting at wide receiver 48. Chalk it up, book it now, send it to the bank, and cash the check. Xavier Worthy will be a top 24 wide receiver in 2024.
Top 24 on
Not
the Chiefs?
Top 40 wide
top
receiver.
40, okay.
Yeah, not top 24. His ADP is 48, and I think it's because of, Marquise Brown has only played one full season. He's been injury riddled, so I don't see him playing a full season either. So I see Worthy actually playing quite a bit this year, more than a rookie normally does in an Andy Reid offense. Yes, it's going to take him some time to learn the playbook like Rashee Rice did last year, but I think he's going to be forced into a role early because I think Rashee Rice potentially could be suspended early on if that trial and his trial goes before the summer hits. So that's my reasoning behind it. And if Rice doesn't get suspended, then we're talking different.
Yeah, I think his target share is going to be the beneficiary of his draft capital. We have a situation like last season when when Sean Payton drafted Marvin Mims. One of the things that made him an asset early in the fantasy draft season was the fact that Sean Payton made a trade to move up to draft Marvin Mims, and he had never done that before. So obviously he had some big plans for Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims and Russell Wilson didn't really get along, and they shipped Russell Wilson out of town. With Xavier Worthy, the draft capital indicates the Chiefs plan on using him. You don't draft somebody in the first round and then let them adjust. One of the interesting things, so I'm looking at the UN score over at the Undroppables, and they have Xavier Worthy as wide receiver 6 in the class. And his score in the UN score is just under 70. It's 69.55. So it's negligibly under 70. 70 is about the threshold of fantasy productive wide receivers. When I look at his model comps, this is basically the comps in scoring, not necessarily in skills on the field. But his model comps are Jalen Tolbert, Elijah Moore, Nico Collins, Wan'Dale Robinson, Josh Downs, DJ Chark, and Kiki Kuti. They had Jermaine Burton in there, but he's a rookie too.
50% hit rate, I'd say, out of those.
All of those guys, when I look at them, they all share one similar trait, and that is I thought that they were going to be very, very good, but they wound up not being in very good situations. Their talent didn't necessarily translate to the opportunities that they got on the field. And I think the outlier in that group is going to be Xavier Worthy and the opportunities he's going to get. Now, on a team with Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, am I going to roster him in fantasy football? Likely not, because there are so many mouths for Patrick Mahomes to feed. However, like you said, this does give Patrick Mahomes a new weapon that he hasn't seen in a while. They tried Marquise Valdez-Scantling as a deep threat. They tried Mecole Hardman as a deep threat. And one thing we know about those two guys is that they are not good wide receivers, Xavier Worthy may turn out to be the exact thing that Patrick Mahomes has been waiting 3 years for.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens, and that's a risk I'm willing to take, because if it does end up being, even 75% of what Tyreek's production was, that's a huge value. And I'm not saying he's going to do that on his rookie season. By no means it's going to be really hard for him to do that, but I think he can definitely return value on a 48 ADP with so much looming outside of there. So yeah.
And what do they say up in Winnipeg, Canada? Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada? Hey, they say you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Oh, the biscuit. You know it,
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We're coming back with running backs on our next episode. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, comment. Find us over on FFAN. Find us on Twitter, BigBonedFFB, FF Grindberg 99. You know all the things, and if you don't, go back and watch one of the other episodes where we said all of that stuff. And if you're new here, stay a while. I hope you win.